what's going on, guys? Welcome to episode 3 of No Late Fees. Leo and I are back to talk about one of my personal favorite movies, 1987's Robocop.
Dude, I am super excited to talk about this one. For those who didn't know, I've never seen this movie before, so
Which I didn't know until like 2 days ago.
I was gonna
literally
save it
didn't
for
know.
like just now to tell you, but I was like, nah, it's fine. But yeah, this was definitely a fun movie to watch and crazier than I was expecting for like RoboCop. I was expecting like, all right, you got a little sci-fi robot police officer, can't do too much damage. Nope, we did some damage.
No, this movie went through like multiple edits just to get an R rating. It was getting like rated X ratings. This movie from Orion Pictures, directed by Paul Veroeven, it's probably arguably one of my favorite movies, definitely in like my top 3. And most people will probably remember this movie as like a gory action flick, but in my opinion, it's so much more than that. It's like a futuristic robot cop, obviously, so it has like that like cheesy sci-fi like title to it, like Robocop. It just sounds dumb if you don't know anything about it. But this movie is so much more than that. Robocop at its core is like an emotional drama. It's about like a highly sympathetic protagonist, and like sure, all the action and like 80s one-liners are there, but like this movie, like in my opinion, is like a battle for the soul.
100% can agree with that. Like the arc of Murphy, from Murphy to RoboCop from beginning to end, is really beautiful as far as like an android is concerned, where like you're putting a human being into a robot and thinking that it's going to be the same thing.
Yeah.
Question mark.
Does the machine make the man, or does the man make the machine? The dark humor and the satire of like American politics is like on the nail, perfect.
Yeah.
Like it's filled with like, it's not just like one-liner, like punchlines. It's witty political satire with like corporate greed.
I was gonna say the corporate goonery of it all was really just like, yep, that's pretty much exactly how things are still. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
you have to weasel your way into anything if you have a good idea, and you have to be ready to sell somebody down the river to get your shot.
Yeah, there's a lot of like selling out of like people not giving a fuck about each other and their peers. Just, I'm here to make money. I don't care if you die, or literally.
You had your time, let me have mine.
Yeah. And that's why Orion chose Paul Verhoeven. He was known for his political satire and his like extreme violence, which obviously
I was not expecting the violence. That was a nice touch, to be honest with you. I usually am like, okay, cool, that's a bit excessive, but this was very well done as far as the violence is concerned.
Before we jump into RoboCop, all of us here at Nerd Daddy, Leo and myself included, we would love if you guys would just take that 1 second and hit that subscribe button. It takes 1 second for you guys, but it means everything to us, and it really helps the channel.
And drop down in the comments what movies you want to see us do next, because let's be honest, we got enough movies out here. We could be doing this for days.
There's going to be a lot more of this style video. If you like these like long, in-depth reviews, this is what we're going to be doing. Some of them are going to be great, and some of them we're just going to be ripping apart depending on what it is. So
very true. Looking forward to both.
Thank you for your cooperation. Good night.
So the movie opens up with a media break, and there's like these news style media breaks throughout the whole movie that just kind of like set the tone for the film. And it's just it's very funny in my opinion, where I didn't catch it when I was a kid, but as I got older, it kind of started to like resonate with me more. You'll see like these two news anchors like reporting terrible news, but with like a smile on their face. You know what I mean? Like it'll go from like the report of like a bunch of cops being murdered to like a commercial of like a heart surgeon advertising the new Yamaha artificial heart.
Series 7 Sports Heart by Jensen. Yamaha, you picked the heart. And remember, we care.
Those shots with like just their eyes, and even they were very expressive, like, we're having a great time. This news is terrible. Hope you're like, gonna enjoy it.
The one they're like they're talking about like a space defense satellite that they're working on, and like a space satellite misfires and kills a shitload of people, and like you see like the laser beam like fired down on Earth. We meet our main character, Officer Alex Murphy. It's his first day after being transferred to the Detroit City Police Department, and he's just kind of going into the station, going to the locker room, and we're getting ready to see him on his first day on patrol.
Yeah, he's getting himself ready because apparently he went from the easy part of town to where he's getting into the down and gritty Detroit area.
Yes, which he's transferred from Metro South, which is just like you said. It's like a. He even says he's like, we work down here for a living, Murphy, because so OCP has purchased the right to run the police department for the city.
Omni Consumer Products, OCP, the firm which recently entered into a contract with the city to fund and run the Detroit Metropolitan Police Department.
So OCP is calling the shots with the cops. And as we find out, they're like strategically placing candidates for the Robocop program in more dangerous areas for like volunteers for the program.
Fucking capitalist assholes.
Yes. See, like I love there's like a layer to this movie, and then like once you watch it a couple more times, you see like stuff underneath it. Like every time I watch this movie, I catch something I didn't. You know what I mean? Like when I was a kid, I didn't care about that kind of stuff. Like I wasn't,
Right.
you know what I mean? I was just like, this guy looks awesome and he shoots people in really cool poses. But there's like so much more to it. So we meet Peter Weller as Alex Murphy, and we meet Officer Ann Lewis, played by Nancy Allen, who's his partner. And their chemistry is really cool in the movie. This is one of the
Very
movies I
much
could
so.
think from the 80s that like it isn't like panning out for like a romantic relationship, which is kind of like refreshing.
Yeah, for police partners, like you don't need them to be a romantic couple. It's not about that connection. Like a police partnership already has that deep bond where like that's your partner, like they're second to your family, you know, like they're right there with you. You don't need to establish any other kind of relationship.
And like we see her, she's like fighting with one of her suspects and like fucking knocks the dude out. So like right off the bat, we're like introduced to her. She has like short hair. You know what I mean? She's not just some like dumb ditzy female character, which was like very common back then. But it was it's done right. It's not like unearned. It feels organic and legit.
And it was cool to find out that all the police officers were named after like killers or like so people who had like criminal records. I was like, that's fucking cool. Like name all of your cops after criminals.
Before we even go any further, this one was definitely a lot of fun for me, and it's going to be cool coming from your perspective as well, because I have the perspective of like this movie has all the nostalgia buttons for me, and like I've loved this movie since I was a child, and you as an adult just watched it for the first time like a week or two ago, and like we both kind of put in a lot of work when it comes to like watching the movie in detail. We watched the new documentary which just came out like a month or two ago. It's a 4 episode.
Was that how fresh that came out?
Yeah, dude, it's only like a month or two old. No,
see, I have no idea when anything comes out now because I'm only like 30 years late to this.
Yeah, so with the release of the Robo documentary and the release of Rogue City, the new Robocop game, which just came out also, which Peter Weller came back to do the voice for, we thought
that's awesome.
We thought it would be a great idea to talk about Robocop. So here we are.
After watching that documentary, like I have a whole new just like view of this movie just from like I love the behind the scenes aspects of things. So like that was a really just nice in-depth little Easter eggs that I got to pick up on.
Yeah, and you could tell whoever put that together, it must have been a lot of work because they got literally everyone who was still alive from that movie. Like the only two main people that aren't alive anymore are Basil, the guy who did the soundtrack, and the guy who plays Bob Morton, Miguel.
See, again, I like the fact that this just came out a month ago. I'm like, oh shit, so like that's what they look like now.
Oh yeah,
so
yeah. This is very recent.
This was like back in the early 2000s, or like when like all the nostalgia buttons started kicking in, or like back when you said they did a reboot. So I was like, okay, so that must have been around that era.
Yeah. Oh, that movie's fucking dog shit, by the way. Oh my god, man! I tried watching that movie again last night just to fall asleep to it. Man, it's fucking painful. It's painful. I haven't seen it in probably 3 or 4, maybe 5 years, but it's fucking painful, dude.
It's for the best.
We'll talk about that one day. It's bad, dude. All right, so then we're introduced to OCP, Omni Consumer Products. They're like the mega corporation that just purchased the Detroit City Police Department, so now the cops go through them. They have a plan to do 24-hour robot cops. And we meet Dick Jones, who's like the executive vice president the number 2 guy at OCP, only behind one other person, which we never find out his name. That's just the old man.
Yeah.
Like the main guy. This movie has so many memorable scenes. And so Dick Jones is presenting his project at 209. And it's like a big board meeting with like 15, 20 people in there. And so that's the first time we meet kind of like the board members and how they kind of like they're backstabbing each other. They're talking shit on each other. Just like you said, there's no loyalty there. They won't hesitate to undercut someone to get like their head up in the business. So we get introduced to Ed 209, which is this big fucking bulky military grade Robocop, I guess. It's like the first.
I feel like it's almost like an ATST almost. Like it's got that
Kind of,
feel to it. And like I love the stop motion animation for it. So like that just gave me all the super good feel. So I was like, yes, give me the 80s stop motion.
Yes, and dude, there was so much work that went into that. Like there's like behind the scenes pictures and you see one of the guys who does the stop animation and he's like just like adjusting and he's just shirtless because he's probably in whatever room he's in just sweating his fucking balls off. But
and literally you have to move those things like ever so slightly just for each frame, and like you think it's going to be easy, like yeah, we'll just move this totally a little bit, but then you start adding an expression, and luckily this was a robot so you didn't have like much, but there was still a lot of movement, and like it's
all the
got
robot
match
parts
with, like,
and
the background, and yeah, exactly. So like
yeah, like if you bump the
well
table a
played.
little bit, and also back then too, if you took the shots and something was slightly out of frame or if something was slightly blurry, you wouldn't find out that film was fucking developed.
You don't get to just go back and delete that one. It's like, well,
No.
no, I have to delete this whole fucking thing and start again.
Like nowadays, you take a picture and you're like, nope, that's blurry. Let's try this again. Okay, that one's good. Back then, it was like, man, I hope that's good. Got to get this developed.
Better be fucking good. If it's developed wrong, I'm gonna kill you.
So we get the Ed 209 demonstration, and Mr. Kinney gets fucking brutally slaughtered in front of the whole entire boardroom.
That was when I realized I was in for a bit of a bloody shit show. I was like, oh, like that, the exploding blood. I was like,
yeah, dude, the squibs in the movie are fantastic.
yeah.
Hard
with the squibs.
Dick Jones has him like threaten at 209 with a firearm, and he immediately pulls on him, like tells him to drop his weapon. He drops the weapon, and he just keeps doing his countdown, like you have 15 seconds to comply. You have 5 seconds to comply.
You now have 5 seconds to comply. 4.
The whole room starts fucking bugging out. And just like I said before, just I am now permitted to use lethal force. And I love that, like he goes up to him and he's like, oh, it's just a little glitch. And he's like, a glitch?
I'm sure it's only a glitch. A temporary setback.
You call this a glitch?
Glitch.
This glitch is gonna But again, they're all like, so when he first says a glitch, you're thinking like he might have some like good person in him, but he's like, this is gonna cost us $50 million. And I think the best part is like he's obviously dead, and one of I think it's Bob or one of the executives go, will someone call a paramedic?
Somebody want to call a goddamn paramedic? Let's go, Johnson.
He's fucking dead, dude. There's a chase scene with the main like bad guys in the movie, the Boddicker Gang, which is led by Kurtwood Smith, read from that 70s show as the main villain, Clarence Boddicker. And the whole gang is just full of like memorable side characters. So they just like robbed a bank, and Lewis and Murphy are chasing them. You just get a perfect intro to the kind of person he is. Like, he's like, you burnt the fucking money.
You burned the fucking money!
I had to blow the door. What do you want?
It's as good as Mark, you asshole! You stupid asshole!
He's like, you dumb fuck. He's like, it's as good as Mark. And then he's telling the driver Emil to drive faster. And he's like, I can't, there's a cop. He's like, just fucking do it. And he's like kicking the seat. And like, you can just tell how brutal he is. Like, opens the car, they all start opening fire, and they're on the side, and there's a shootout.
Can you fly, Bobby?
Clarence, no!
They end up in the steel mill, and Murphy and Lewis are, tracking them down. There's no backup, which like kind of gives us like
15 minutes for backup. Come on now. 15
but
whole minutes.
it's definitely a movie cliche, but at least this movie backs up like the reason why there's no backup. Earlier, when we first meet Murphy, when he's walking into the locker room, we hear all the dialogue, how everyone's pissed and like people are dying left and right, and they're thinking about striking, and they're like pissed off that OCP runs the cops now. And he's like, one of them says like, "Oh, backup never comes," and one's like, he's like, "Oh, try calling a medevac after shit hits the fan."
10 guys loose over on the east side.
You try to get back up when you're in a jam.
Yeah, try to get a medevac after you've been jammed.
Because backup just never comes. So they at least kind of plant the seed of like, okay, backup's not coming. You want to, you know, it's your call. And Lewis is like, let's do it. But they make the dumb mistake of like, if me and you were two police officers, I think we'd probably stick together. They split up.
They always split up.
They always split up.
It's classic movie 101. Never split up. But of course they're always going to do it because it's a movie. Lewis went hard first. Like she was they got her split up.
She finds Joey, and Joey's taking a piss, and then she's about to arrest him, and he's like, "You mind if I zip this up?"
Mind if I zip this up?
She looks at his cock, and he just goes, well, bah, and knocks her off, and
that laugh.
Yeah.
Oh, that laugh.
They're watching some sitcom or some show with Bixby on it, the guy who's, you know, he's always all over the girls, and he's like, I'd buy that for $1.
I'd buy that for $1.
I'd buy that for $1.
We see throughout the entire movie, like in and out the entire movie, there's like little Easter eggs of that show. Murphy blows one of the guys away, and then he has a meal. And we hear him say, which is very important for later on in the movie, he looks at him and he says, "Dead or alive, you're coming with me."
Dead or alive, you're coming with me.
The next thing you know, Min's up here, Leon's up here, and he's fucked.
Bro,
he is.
This was when I knew for sure that we were going to be in for some shit. Because when that first shot went off and his hand exploded, bro, I went, huh. And that wasn't the end of it. I was like, oh.
Let's slow down. Let's slow down for a second. Let's slow down for a second. So they have him. He's fucking dead to rights. He knows it. He's looking around like his weapon he doesn't have anymore. He's surrounded by all these guys with shotguns. And he's like, your ass is mine. And we see Clarence walk in. He's like, not yet, it ain't. And he's just, you can tell he's just playing with him, dude. You a good cop, hot shot, and like, where's your partner? Smacks him in the leg with the shotgun.
You a good cop, hot shot. Where's your partner? Where's your partner?
But we get a little peek into like how good of a human Murphy is, because even though he knows he's dead, he's like, you must not think I'm a really nice guy. And he's like, buddy, I think you're slime. He knows he's fucking dead, but he's still saying like, I'm proud who I am. I'm a cop. You're fucking slime. Cops don't like me.
So I don't like cops.
Bow!
Bro,
hand blown off.
That hand, I was not ready for it.
Well, give the man a hand.
I was not ready. If I didn't know that this movie was going to be crazy, that set the tone.
So you didn't even know that scene was coming?
No. Wow. Like I knew he got turned into a robot somehow. So like obviously he got lit up, but like I was not expecting like we're just gonna have a whole shot dedicated to your hand just grenading in front of you. Like, and then he's just alive to be like, Gah!
Yeah, he sells that scene so good, Peter Weller.
So
When he gets up, he's like crouched over, he turns around, and like they're just laughing, and fucking all of them shoot him so many times that like they run out of ammo. And being that he's still wearing the body armor, like his arm's blown off, he's shot to shit, but he's still alive. He's like, hey, Clarence, look, he's still alive.
Doesn't hurt.
And as Clarence walks up to him, fun's over. Bang! Dead. Now, funny story, dude. Funny story. So I'm 7 or 8, right? Watching that movie at home. My dad gets home from work. Right in the middle of that scene. Sends me to my room for some reason. And I just hear him go, Elena, what the fuck is he watching? Because we were in a smaller house, so I could hear everything. She's like, I don't know, John. There's a Robocop comic. He has Robocop toys. So I bought him the movie, and it was different back then. There was no internet that would like
You
warn
couldn't
you.
look shit up. No.
No, that's one of those scenes that it sticks with you. Like even to this day, when I watch that movie and I know that scene's coming, it still gives me like a dirty feeling because I think
Yeah.
that's probably one of the most brutal executions in cinema ever done.
Easily. And like they didn't stop. They were just like, oh, cool.
No.
We're just gonna empty out all the rounds. Like finding out that that's where this movie is where the one-handed shotgun pump comes from. Like that's pretty fucking cool. Like just to watch that happen.
Dude, this is 15 minutes into the movie. And like when
Bro.
he's getting blown away, dude, you see Lewis like go up to a fence and she can't get in. And she's just hearing him scream in pain. She can't help him. And he's getting fucking executed. When you see him like lying on the ground and like Lewis is at his side, dude, it's a fucking bloodbath.
You felt for fucking Murphy. You felt for Lewis just sitting over that body going, well,
yeah,
so
it really makes you care about him as a character, being the audience. And we don't spend that much time with him at all.
No,
you know what I mean?
all.
Like goes right into RoboCop, like pretty quick. And it really shows in a short period of time what kind of person he is and what kind of protagonist we're going to be following throughout the movie.
Yeah, that kind of human spirit, you can see why he was chosen.
The screen goes black and then it starts to open up and we have like a first person like POV shot of RoboCop being worked on. The screen's all grainy and like they keep shutting off. And then it'll come back on, and you'll see all the doctors and the executives around him. It shuts back off. We see Bob Morton.
You're gonna be a bad motherfucker.
Revealing RoboCop for the first time, like pulling the plastic off, and he's like RoboCop. And they do it so well. You could have easily like shown him like right off the bat with like, you know, pumped up music behind him and had like a quick hard reveal. But dude, they tease it. You see him walking. Right to the left, you see him on like one of the little monitors. And then they deliver him to the police department and you see him walking through glass and it's blurry. You can't see him. And the first clear shot you see is of his back. And then when you finally get a front view of him, there's a fence that gets closed in front of him.
Yep.
And you don't really see a good shot of him until he's in the chair and he's like kind of moving around the chair and they're explaining the way like he eats and his targeting system and all that stuff.
Tastes like baby food.
And like they just did a really good job of like building that up. And like the close-ups you see of the suit is it's fantastic because that suit, it's made of like fiberglass and plastic and fucking rubber and foam, but it looks like a robot. Yeah.
And it's cool to see that like anything nowadays, like even like when I was expecting to see them like put together RoboCop. So I was expecting to see like a Darth Vader style moment where they like put all the pieces together and like you said with like dun 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 dun, dun
yeah,
like just building
maybe like him rising up or something like
a little bit of the face, like if he was going to be like still sort of alive, like his eyes kind of like twitching while they're like roboing, or you start seeing like soldering and shit. But like it was really cool that all of a sudden you're just like, oh, we're getting this like the VHS view of his mind right now.
Yeah. So we see the doctors and executives working on him and they show the way his targeting system works. Like they follow the pen and they show that like he could record stuff, which is very important for later on too. They show that he could record stuff and play it back. When he's in the police station, he's in the shooting range. I think, dude, it's probably the coolest gun in my opinion anyway, like in a movie. And they're all shooting, and all of a sudden you just hear, brah, brah, brah. And one of the guys is like, look at that fucking gun.
That fucking gun.
Such an iconic shot where it's like, oh, it's not just one shot. You get like 4 at one time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's called the Auto 9. It's like a semi-automatic 9mm fucking handgun. And he has like the cool little thing.
Yeah, with the hip holster.
Yeah. It opens up, and this is the first glimpse that Lewis sees him about to put the gun away, and he spins it. Because earlier in the movie, they're like just hanging out, drinking coffee, waiting for like a call. And he explains that he twirls his gun like this TV cop that his son watches. So he wants to be a role model for his son. So he learned how to do the twirling thing. So RoboCop twirls the gun.
Laser or some dumb shit.
Yeah. So he twirls the gun. He puts it in the leg compartment, and like Lewis kind of looks at him, and that's the first like glimpse that we get that like, all right, there might be a little bit of Murphy in there. So this one was running a little bit longer than we expected, so we decided to cut it into 2 parts. So make sure you guys subscribe and keep a lookout for part 2, which will be coming soon. All right, thanks guys.